Should we talk hockey?
I think we should, and that's kind of why I'm here. I'm
All right.
the certified hockey expert of SpeakerP. So
You're our senior hockey correspondent.
yes, I am not yet Bob McKenzie status, but I'm getting there.
I need some more insider information from you.
Bring it.
So over the weekend, Jesperi Kotkaniemi did not get his offer sheet matched by the Montreal Canadiens. So he is now a Carolina Hurricane. The Hurricanes signed him for a 1 year, $6 million contract. So Kotkaniemi is off to Raleigh. A first and a third went to Montreal, but then Montreal flipped a first and a second, I believe, a 2022 second to the Arizona Coyotes for Christian Dvorak. Scott, we'll go kind of in parts here, but let's start with the Kotkaniemi offer sheet. Were you surprised that Montreal did not match that?
No, they can't afford that. They can't afford him. I don't think Kotkaniemi is worth $6.1 million. First of all, that's the biggest thing. He had a good playoff, don't get me wrong, but he's not worth $6 million by any stretch of the means. He could maybe be worth $4 million. I do like the move on Carolina's part. Giving up a first and a third is kind of steep.
Was it first and a third or a first and a second? I want to pull that up.
No, it was a first and a third to Carolina. That
okay, the original one, yes.
And then Kotkaniemi went the other way.
Yes,
the offer sheet.
Pretty much a trade, yes.
In essence, yeah. So I like the move on Carolina's part. It gives them really good finish depth because they got.
Oh wow! Okay.
They got some good finish depth there.
Wow.
Not intended at all.
No, that was extremely intended. You knew what you were doing.
I did. Anyways, Aho, Tervainen, and Kotkaniemi they're all there. I think that's a good setup, and I don't know, maybe being in a different environment, being kind of not as the go-to guy anymore. He's more of like a secondary piece. Whereas Montreal, I feel like he was kind of being pushed into being the guy, being a third overall pick.
Yeah.
Right. I think now Carolina's kind of got like a fresh start in a way. I think he'll thrive, especially with some Finnish guys that have a little more experience than he does. So,
well, so I thought when Kotkaniemi was given this original offer sheet, it's like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Like I get where Carolina's coming from here, where Carolina gets a talented player. I think Jesperi Kotkaniemi is a talented player.
Very. Oh, for sure.
He's only just a middle six forward right now, a middle six center right now.
Yep.
I think he can break through and score maybe 25, 30 goals in a year.
I think he's good for 50 points.
I think he's good for 50 points. Yeah, that was my next thing. 50 to 60 points. I think he can get 50 to 60 points. So in that regard, I think it's a really smart bet from the Hurricanes to say, yep, this guy is younger than me. He's 21 and he's younger than me. And we think we can make him that 50, 60, 20, 30 goal scorer. We think we can do that. So that I like. I think that makes sense from Carolina's perspective.
I agree.
Montreal,
sorry, go ahead.
Montreal also gets quality draft capital from that deal with Kotkaniemi.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
With a first round pick and a third round pick.
And a first round pick next year, which is supposed to be a loaded draft class. But we'll talk about that in a few months.
We'll talk about that later on down the road. That's supposed to be better than at least this year's, which was very hit and miss. So a smart bet from Carolina, an understandable move from Montreal's perspective, who did not have $6 million to just hand out to a guy like Kotkaniemi and what he is right now. Because that's what this move, I think, is about for Montreal, is right now.
Yeah,
it's a short-term play.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt about it.
And they just didn't have $6 million to throw around to Kotkaniemi. So I think it makes a lot of sense. And I don't know if Montreal's gonna regret it. They might, but I don't think that's also who Bergevin is. I don't think he's the type of dude to give him feel pity for not doing that. I think he kind of understands what the situation is right now. It's like I was stuck between a rock and a hard place, and I just couldn't pulled the trigger on a deal like that.
Yeah, and I think the loss of Danault is going to sting him more than Kotkaniemi. But that, anyways, now let's talk about the guy they did get.
Okay.
And that's Christian Dvorak, who was sent to Montreal in exchange for a first and second round pick. The first round pick was this in 2022 draft. The second round pick's 2023, I believe.
I think it's 2024. I could be wrong.
Okay, it's 1 year after. Anyways, the point is, it's still a second round pick.
So the first round pick to Arizona,
yes,
it's basically the highest pick between Montreal and Carolinas.
Oh, I see. So it's conditional-ish.
It's conditional-ish, but if both picks are in the top 10, then Arizona gets the lower pick, if that makes sense.
Got it. Okay.
So Dvorak, that was a bit steep of a price that I would pay for Christian Dvorak. I like Christian Dvorak. I think he's kind of like Kotkaniemi needs that place to shine that isn't Arizona.
Right.
I just don't know if first and a second is what I would give up for Christian Dvorak. That's
you give up. That is more than what you paid. What you got for Kotkaniemi. So I guess the real question is, who's a better player, Dvorak or Kotkaniemi? That's the real question here.
Well, I think Dvorak is the better player right now.
Well, there you go, and that's why a first and second was given up, right? That's
yeah. I guess that's why. I just think that's a steep price for somebody. And the other thing I think that should be talked about is that centers are really hard to find. Like it's tough to find a good center.
Two-way centers with size that can score and have a bit of an edge are near to impossible to find unless you draft them. And the fact you traded for one's pretty good. And I will say, I think Dvorak fills a need that Kotkaniemi wouldn't have with the loss of Danault. That's my hot take on this.
Yeah.
And Dvorak is better defensively than Kotkaniemi is. There's no doubt about that in my mind. And again, you have Suzuki as your one. That's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Dvorak's your two. And then you have the rest of your roster down below. But point is, Dvorak right now is, I wouldn't say an elite 2C, but he's a good quality 2C.
He's a high quality 2C.
On that team, 100%.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing to keep in mind with the Habs in general, it's just they're not an elite offensive scoring juggernaut.
No.
That's just not how they're set up.
No, there's no way.
And I think that's how they want it to be set up. I think that's how they've been, Bergevin's been building this team.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is by mistake.
No.
Maybe getting to the Stanley Cup Finals was a mistake that nobody ever saw happening, but it happened. So I guess my point is, it's a bit for the actual asset of Christian Dvorak. That's a bit much for somebody who hasn't scored 40 points in a season yet. But for the things that he brings, as in like he's a second line center who we talked about, a high quality second line center, who can do what Montreal wants to do, who's getting out of Arizona because it's just they're going to be tanking this year. Makes a lot of sense. Totally see that. Why?
Yep.
I guess we should also talk about the Coyotes a little bit from their perspective on this deal.
Well, I will say the Coyotes are loaded with draft capital and shit contracts. So you tell me what they're trying to do. They're gonna tank.
Oh, I know what they're trying to do. Yeah. They've been like, this is what I said the Sabres should be doing is just picking up shitty being the dumpster fire with everybody's bad contracts and taking draft capital or like prospects for said contracts.
Right.
And just, taking 2 or 3 years off, 4 years off, 5 years off at most.
Right. Yeah. The Coyotes, I don't know. They're talking about moving to Tempe now, building an arena in Tempe and
Tempe.
Tempe. You're the Arizona expert here, so you should probably talk about this. But
so pretty much what's going to happen. So this is their last year in Glendale at their current arena. It's going to be really tough to sell your team to a new venue. I mean, they've been talking about building a new arena in Tempe with Arizona State University because they have a pretty solid up and coming hockey team.
Yeah.
Which I think makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know when that's going to be built. I don't know when they're coming in, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I don't know how long that arena could be built. They could agree on that tomorrow and it's not built until 2024.
Who knows? Yeah. You never know.
You never know. So now this year, the Coyotes are trying to sell themselves, I'm sure, to different venues to say, we need to play here for X amount of time until we can get a new proper arena. And they're going to be really bad this year. Like, they could be, I think there's a good chance they could be the worst team in the league this year.
Yeah, there is. And people aren't projecting that. But yeah, they gave up a lot of three of their better players in this offseason. Kemper, Ekman-Larsson, and Garland are all gone.
And Phil Kessel could be the next one. Clayton Keller could also be gone.
Could be gone too, yeah.
So
yep.
I think from the actual hockey perspective, the Dvorak deal makes a lot of sense because I don't know how many other teams are giving up a first round pick for him. And I think you're just trying to collect a whole bunch of assets to be, good in 5 years from now. Bunch of drafted capital to be good in 5 years from now. So this makes a lot of sense.
No doubt about it.